Here. Welcome to the show. Eliot Rathe is joining me today, also known as the QC Ghost on Twitter. Thanks so much for joining me, Eliot.
My pleasure. This is going to be super fun, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm stoked to get into it. So I guess just a little background, right? My understanding is that you are the founder of BackendBoost, which basically is a company that helps SaaS companies build out email flows, right? And it sounds like your primary thing is copywriting, right? So how would you describe yourself?
Yeah, as an email copywriter, but once you studied copywriting for a while, you can jump on email sales pages. I've done sales pages for a while, and that's actually how I got into emails. I was doing a lot of sales pages. I did like 40 of them, a lot for like 6-7 months. And then by talking to these SaaS owners, I realized that email was their big weak point. That's where I jumped on email. But yeah, I would say I'm a copywriter, but right now with the agency, I'm more of an email copywriter.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So what exactly does BackendBoost do? How would you describe exactly, who you work with and what your service is?
Yeah. So the big goal is to build an email automation, right? Mm-hmm. So think about this like asset. I see it as like a spider web, right? And a lot of people think it's weird, but it's pretty much that. So for all B2B SaaS businesses, but we're also working with SaaS businesses, the goal is whenever a user signs up or whenever someone gets a lead magnet, whatever, that we can grab their email. From there, we want to take them into some sort of flow, and we have a whole process. So from the moment that we have their email to a conversion to once they bought into something, to keep them for longer. So it's just a big asset. The best way to say it is email automation for SaaS businesses. That's the best way to say it.
Okay, gotcha. So I just want to start from the beginning, right? I did a little background on you. It sounds like, let's start back when you were 16 years old. So it sounds like you were a soccer player before you got into all this, right? So let's walk through exactly where you started, how what your come up story is.
Yeah. So if I start at the beginning, I'll try to make it as short as possible.
No, let's go through the whole thing.
Let's do. Okay. So how I think it started, because you see like this space with all of these people, we have a different mindset, we have a different view of the world. I like to think so. And this way of seeing things, I think really came whenever I was 13 or 14. I had a big, not accident, but like sickness that it's not even explainable. It's super rare. And I was super healthy, eating good, playing soccer every single day, and boom, just like that, I was about to like die literally at the hospital. And I'm gonna say it in French because I don't actually know the word in English, but it's ventriculite de Meckel en péritonite, something super weird, super long that doctors didn't know about. And when your reality shifts from, oh, I'm doing great, I'm having fun playing soccer, to, oh my God, I was about to die, and like unbearable pain from 1 minute to the other, then your whole reality shifts. And I made a thread about it, and it's basically when I got out of the hospital, I was like, fuck, what the fuck was I doing with, can I swear? I'm just...
Yeah. Let it fly.
Yeah, so I was like, what am I doing with my life, right? I was about to die tomorrow, so it doesn't matter. Like, from that moment, like, I didn't give a fuck about what people thought of me. I don't... Like all of my dreams was like, oh, it's possible. I can at least try them, because what's the matter? I can die tomorrow, right? And that perspective of being able to die at like any moment is really amazing. And I think everyone should at least use it. Like, if I know I would be dying in like 6 months, what would I be doing different? And that changes your perspective. So from that, I was like, hey, I want to be a professional soccer player, right? And what I did, I just did it every single day for like 1.5 years, like a maniac, taking private classes every single week. I was in school, it was outside of school, it was just everything in my life. And the cool thing is that not so long after that, maybe 1.5 years, 2 years, like you said, at 16. So the day of my birthday at 16 years old, I flew to Mexico, because there was a camp for for young soccer players, and COVID hit, so it was closed. So I was there with my father. That was the whole goal of being in Mexico, and it was closed. So what are we doing? So what we did is ran across the country, literally searching for a camp, like just trying to, how do you say that? Like,
yeah.
So trials, just trying to show my talent as a soccer player. And we did 1, 2, 3, always trying to see which one is the best, which one would accept me, etc. And my father made a great contact. I have to give it to him, a great contact. So I was able to go play in a great soccer team, which is Atletico Morelia. And that team is amazing, right? So it was a semi-professional soccer team. This year, they're about to turn pro, which is a massive shift in soccer. That means more budget, a bigger stadium, everything. And I was able to try play with them. And the cool thing was that normally there's like the younger team, right, juniors, and there's the semi-professional team. But that day that I was going to do my trial, the junior team wasn't available. So I played directly with the semi-professionals. And at 16, playing with like 23-year-olds, it's a totally different game, of course. But I was good enough for them to say like, hey, we're gonna try you for like another 2 weeks and see if that works out. And it worked out. So I played there for another like 8 months. Great experience. I learned Spanish. And made just a totally crazy experience. Just like being around these guys, traveling in bus. Playing in big ass stadiums. It was like a whole like world shift, right? So from there, learned Spanish. I was still in school, so I was doing maybe 3 hours of school online, just totally cool, super cool. I know a lot of people are complaining about COVID, how it was bad, it was terrible. It was one of the best years of my life. Just flying there, learning Spanish, having crazy fun with my father. It was amazing. So from there, maybe like I said, 8 months ago, 8 months later, after being in the trial and everything, literally doing soccer 4 hours a day, I was proposed a contract. So the contract was not really sexy, to be honest, but it was still a contract, right?
Sure. Yeah.
It made me think about what was at stake. So they said, okay, we're going to keep you for another 1.5 years until you turn 18, because it's in the rules of Mexico. And once you turn 18, then we'll pay you and we'll continue building you as a member of our team, like a player. And just having that, I thought that was always what I wanted. But once I heard that, I was like, man, do I really want to do that for the next 8 years of my life? I really don't think so. I really love the sport. But there's something in the environment that what I wanted to build that wasn't there. And I was already, once I finished my soccer training school, I was already building a little business. I can tell you a little bit about it, because that wasn't the first thing I built and totally crashed. I totally felt that thing. Pushing into the world of understanding how things work. So
one thing before we get into that, with the soccer contract, what's like the ultimate goal with that? So if you get signed on there, right, and you start making a living, can you make a good amount of money if you stay with that club forever? Or is the play there that you get in there and then you have to go up to you try to go to a bigger team?
The play, but the cool thing is that, for example, all of the guys in the team, even if it was only a semi-professional team, had BMWs, Audis, like Mercedes, and I was like, why? It doesn't make sense, right? And even when I searched their salary, it was like $30K a year.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm thinking.
Right? But in Mexico, everything is so cheap that $30K a month, $30K a year is a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, being there and being from Canada, it doesn't make sense. But it's like you said, it's way more about being there and hoping and seeing the team as a long-term play and staying there and hoping you're gonna get pro. So you're moving along the team, or you're gonna get drafted into another team that has more potential, or that is directly pro, right?
Yeah.
That's more of the play, and that's where the salary double, triple, or quadruple, right? Depending, and you move from there. But really,
Okay.
semi-professional is like the first step you're getting into the serious stuff. Pro is way more about like it's a full-time living. You're really you need to be serious about it. It's totally semi-professional is just before that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was saying once I received the contract, I was already building my business, and the business that I was building is Spanish online learning. Okay, that seems weird, but let me get it.
Well,
So one thing that I needed there is a Spanish teacher, right? Online Spanish teacher, because I don't know why I had an online Spanish. I guess it was because my father, his friend knew this professor, so I was doing it online. And she was living across Mexico, and chatting with her, and was like, "Man, this girl is smart, right?" So like, she knows French, English, Spanish, Russian. It's like, wow, that's a lot, and she has a university level, right? So I was like, man, that's amazing. And I asked my father, like, how much do you pay her, right? Like, how much? I'm just curious. Like, oh, man, $4 an hour. Like, what? Are you kidding me? Like.
Yeah.
An hour, and she studied for like 20 years. Like, that doesn't make any sense, right? I started searching in Canada, United States, France. What's the average price for a Spanish professor at this level? And it was like $21, $22 per hour. I was like, whoa, that's a big difference. So I was like, can I be the middleman and attract the rich people from these countries and make like the professor double the amount of money that she's currently making? So for example, $8 an hour, and I'm getting the $3-4 per hour, and you know what I mean? I'm trying
yeah. You're it's just an arbitrage, right?
The professor makes more money. The people from France get a super qualified professor at half the price. So it made sense. So I started going into the rabbit hole of like, what's ClickFunnels? How do I get leads? What's a lead? What's a lead magnet? And from there, I started like ramming ebooks, building Instagram accounts, trying to give value in some ways. I've built a big WhatsApp group with like maybe 15 professors at that level that I just sent, like, imagine like 30 DMs on Upwork, Fiverr, these little sites that have professors. There's a bunch of sites where there's Spanish professors. I just started DMing them. I'm like, hey, I can pay you twice as much as you're currently making. You need to jump on my company. So I had a big group of like these professors, and my goal was just to get people in and just link them up with a professor, build a program, and then So that's where I started building things. Of course, I was terrible. Like, even sales calls, I had no idea how to do them. Getting leads was just horrible, right? And I just lost a lot of money. Like, every single penny that I had that I got from working before I was like 15, I just lost it all. But it was so worth it, just understanding how it works, and it pushed me on Twitter. For example, I remember I had a call at the beginning. Like, that's maybe I don't know exactly when, but I had a call with Cole Email Wizard about, hey, I'm trying this like online Spanish program. What's the best way to approach it? What is an offer? Literally, how can I approach that? And he was like, bro, just sell to rich families. Boom. So I shifted everything, rebuilt the funnel, tried and focused on rich families. So I was specific cities, everything. So just from that, I learned a lot. And from writing ebooks, writing the whole ClickFunnels funnel, sales pages, etc., and emails, I was like, that specific thing is like taking so much of my time. Like, I was spending a lot of hours learning about copywriting, trying to understand how it works, and at the end I was like, there's lead gen, there's sales, and I was like, copywriting is this one thing that I think I'm getting good at because I studied it a lot. But could I help other businesses with that, right? Could I help, like, if I would have money, right, and people would like say, hey, pay me this, and I would do the entire funnel, I would say yes, right? 100%. So can I do that for other people? And that's where I got into the rabbit hole of just going hard into copywriting for like 9 months straight, 8 hours a day, just doing it, and until I found a big problem in the market that was SaaS email automation. That's where I came in.
Awesome, awesome. So what did the Spanish service look like? Like what was that exact offer? So when you were selling to these rich families, right? And apparently you were taking sales calls as well, right? So like what were you selling them on these calls?
So it was like, I don't know the exact things. It's been a while, but let's say, okay, this is gonna be like a per month thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a program, so there's learning videos. There's gonna be 4 calls with the professor a week, right? There's gonna be a community, whatever. All of these little things are
Yeah.
a package, and my goal was to like make it super high ticket and build a big community around it. And yeah, that was pretty much the offer, but it totally failed. Like I sold like 1 or 2, and then
Mm-hmm.
after that, the amount of money that I needed for ClickFunnels, all of that, like I mean, I even tried ads, and that was terrible, like just terrible. But yeah, that was pretty much the offer.
Yeah, but it's super cool because that's exactly what led you into the business that you're in now, right? Like if you didn't start that, you would have had no idea that there was a need for copywriting, emails, things like that. So sweet. Thanks for sharing that. So you're a copywriter, right? And I feel like a lot of people on Twitter, there's probably, 10,000 copywriters or people with copywriting in their Twitter bio, right? How would you say one becomes a copywriter?
Oof, that's a good question. That's hard to say on.
Yeah, well, I can rephrase it as well, right? So when you like knew that this was a big problem, right? And you kind of, because I think there's also a time, I know at least I discovered like, oh, like writing these words is actually called copywriting, right? And like there's actually like a name for it, right? And there's ways that you can study it and get better at it and practice it. Like how did you build up your knowledge or become a good copywriter?
Okay, that's easy. That's easier to answer.
Yeah.
What I did was basically become obsessed over becoming a copywriter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of people right now have like this confidence that if you wrote like 2 sales pages, you're a copywriter, which doesn't make any sense. I had this lack of confidence, like big time, and that led me into just ramming like 2 sales pages per day for like 6 months. So
Yeah.
it was just totally crazy. I had so many things written. I wrote it for like just people online. I searched for SaaS businesses and just like, hey, I'm gonna redo your sales pages. I'm gonna redo your entire email flows, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's for free, right?
Yeah.
Like, I just did that over and over and over. Studying great copywriters, understanding human psychology, but I think if I'm talking to most people that are trying to be copywriters, they're just getting into like learning or knowledge way too much when it's 10 times more important to actually put the work in and write words. That's so stupid to say, but that's how you get better at it. And then it's a bit like sales calls. I think Alex Hormozy said it, that like it's like sales calls. The only way to sales calls is like sex. The only way to get good at it is to practice, right?
Yeah.
Even if you read about it a bunch of times, it won't help you. It's more like practice. You read, you practice, you read. That's better. But just action is 10 times better. And that's what I did for like 9 months straight.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's laying that groundwork, right? Like right when I got out of college, the first job I took was at a SaaS company. It was a BDR role, right? So I wasn't leaving the office till I made 75 calls every single day, right? And in that time, it's like, this sucks. Like, you call up all these people, you maybe get a hold of 5 people a day, 4 of them are going to tell you to F off. And then the one is like, okay, maybe call me back in a month or so, right? And it's just like, seems demoralizing at some points. When you get one though, it's like that rush of like, okay, like this works. But also that really laid the groundwork, right? Like now when I call people up, these days, it's like, oh, like this is easy. Like what's the worst that could happen? They could say no. But like, if I didn't have that groundwork, right? Or like if I just had a couple like good sales calls and I started thinking I'm a sales guy now, like, no, you gotta put in like a mass amount of reps to really, and you gotta keep practicing, right? Like as soon as you get off the phone or you stop writing, like that's when, you get rusty and you're definitely not sharpened up there.
100%. And I'm so glad. I'm sure it's the same for you. Like, so glad I just did that like phase, right? Because if we're talking about like clients or like calls closed, it's like the amount of work you need to do to get your like the first one or the first good one, and then the momentum picks up, right? And that's what happened to me. Like all of these months got condensed in like 2 weeks of like boom, everything shut up, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why you need to do the groundwork in the first place. It's for the momentum. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So if you had to give someone advice, let's say a 16-year-old Eliot, right? And you say like, hey, I want to become a copywriter. What would you say, like, do this and do this to become a copywriter?
Yeah, I would say learn the really basic, like just understand what it is. Literally copy, like, and that's not the word copywriting, like copy the great copywriters or the great writers. And so there's a lot of people that are saying like handwrite sales pages, and I think it's a good exercise because it puts you into the mindset of the writer, and by writing more and more sentences like that great writer, you'll see patterns, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the first step, is like recognizing the patterns, and from there you just need to practice a lot and a lot and a lot until you're gonna get your own twist on things. But that takes a lot of reps, right? And I don't even think I'm there yet. Like, you need to put, like you said, so much effort for so long until you get that. So the advice I would give is copy and study the great copywriters and put a lot of efforts. And that seems stupid, but I like I said, I think I was leaning way too much on knowledge, right? Mm-hmm. When it's not that important. What's important is the amount of reps you're doing. Mm-hmm. So it's way more, and getting a coach or someone to look up to way earlier, right? Because what's difficult is, okay, like doing the reps is super important, but to learn when to shift or what to like to change in your writing, right? If it's your punctuation or your spacing sucks, then I need to know that, because maybe I'm gonna do 200 reps and never know about it, right? Or so it's an in between. But I would say having someone to tell you like, hey man, just shift in this one tiny direction, or just shift that, and if you can shift and then do the reps, it's gonna be 10 times easier.
Yeah, totally. I really like that, copying the greats. I took Sam Parr's Copy That course. Have you ever heard of it? Yeah, so that was really good. It's 10 days. He sends you, some of the best sales letters or pieces of copywriting he's ever seen. Obviously, Sam himself is kind of a copywriting legend, selling the hustle. But that just in 10 days, the rest after that, looking at typing emails or just writing, I write my newsletter every week. I'm like, oh, you can kind of have fun with this. And there's ways that you can use words that you wouldn't really think about otherwise, unless you read the greats and copy them and see exactly what they're doing.
Exactly. That's I think the whole point is pattern recognition, right? Mm-hmm. You see where the genius comes from, right? For example, I remember, I'm sure it's the same for you. You see, one of the best sales pages of all time, and you're like, why is this great, right? Mm-hmm. And right now, I would reread the sales page, and I'm like, oh my god, it's genius. The angle he took is amazing, but it takes a lot of copying to understand the genius behind it.
Yeah, totally. So let's get into your business a little bit, right? So you're working with about 42 SaaS companies right now. Is that right?
I worked.
Worked. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So what does that exactly look like, right? So a SaaS company, let's say I have a SaaS company myself, kind of, right? I don't know that I could call it that yet, but a little tool that I'm building on the side. We're just starting to get beta users. We have about 60 users right now. We'd come to you and say hey, what happens when one of our users signs up, or what happens when one of our users decides to subscribe, right? So that's when you come in, right? And you start building all the flows for that entire thing.
Exactly. And I would say it's later on in the process. So for example, in your case, it's not that it wouldn't be helpful, but it's not the thing that is going to push you forward, right? It's in your specific scenario, it's not the puzzle piece that is going to push you forward. I would say like in all the process, like email is maybe like at the end, like the tip, right? Just the tip to really round things up. You need to have like SEO efforts, social ads effort. That's where you're going to get a lot of emails, and that you need to nurture them. So I would say it's later in the process, and I would come for a SaaS business and just tell them like, okay, I'm going to do all of your automation for your email. So like you said before, if that's a welcome flow, an onboarding flow, payment decline, just to follow and nurture the email lists and the users, right? And yeah, the goal is just to build an asset for the SaaS for the long term, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if I can give you any like detail that gives value, but that's pretty much it. It's way more about the three pillars that I see is acquisition. So we're talking about, for example, the welcome flow, acquisition, retention, and then upselling those paying users. So that's the three pillars that really make sense. But yeah, you really need to have not like understand, like know exactly your aha moments, know exactly where you're going, what's your strategy that you have in mind, all of that. Because otherwise, if I don't have any data to work with, then I don't know what direction or what's gonna hit with your users. If that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And so, like, what type of? Actually, I'll rephrase this. So you're building the flow, right? You're also writing all the different emails in there as well, right? Like that's a lot of writing, considering, you know, how many emails can come out, right? And that has to be kind of product specific as well, right? Exactly. So do you work like really close with the founders to understand like what the product is, what exactly the value props are, all that type of stuff?
Exactly. Just the market research and the strategy takes a while. Like it really takes some time if I want to do it right. And I always think about if, for example, one of the things that I'm doing right now is sprints, right? So, for example, I'm doing 4 months with you, and I'm just going to build your entire automation system for your emails. And from there, if you want to keep working, we're going to do that. I forgot my thought. Can you repeat the question? Maybe I'm going to get it again.
Yeah, no, it was just about like, you know, how you're writing all of the emails as well, right? Like that's a lot of writing to do, right? And one hack that I've not say like come up with, but like if you're building a website or you're building out an email flow or whatnot, right? Like you kind of need to like write all those emails and all that copy before, because it's actually like a ton of work, right? Like when you're building the flow, you can't just like start typing up emails in the moment right there, right? Like it's a ton of work to actually write all that.
Prepare it and organized, right? And it's just about, I think systems really help. Like understanding part of the process and productizing my offer, the emails as much as possible. But of course, the difficult thing is not falling into the trap of like templates. I see a lot of email copywriting agency, like for example, doing e-com brands that just fall into like templates, right? But the goal of, in my opinion, of SaaS emails is to really connect deeply with the users and understand what they're searching for, and templates doesn't give that. Right. So that's why it's a lot of work, because I need to do it from scratch. And like I was saying, that was my thought, like all of the market research and all the strategy, in a way, the more market research you do and the more strategy you do, the less writing you do. That makes sense? Because the ideas are going to get quick. You know exactly what they want, where they're going, what's their problem, what belief they have at which point, which is part of the strategy, right? Like, at this point, they have this, and this belief. We need to break those, right? And we can move forward. Like, for example, a big mistake that SaaS businesses are doing is that once a user signs up or gets a lead magnet, they think they're already into the software, that they love it. It's false. They just know about it. They're trying it. So, in the welcome sequence, a lot of what they're doing with SaaS businesses is like, here's our new tool, new feature, or blah blah blah. When the goal is to make them understand why they're here, what's the benefit, and what's like a bit like the hero journey. I love making the welcome flow like a hero's journey. So like a big storytelling sequence that is going to take the user from I'm here, that's where I'm headed, that's why I'm using it. And once they pass the aha moment, right? I'm getting into the nerdy stuff. But
no, it's all good. I like to hear it.
I'm just saying, I'm realizing it. So they get past the aha moment, and that's where you can get into like the tools and the little tricks that they can use in your software. But that's like the main, I would say, error that SaaS businesses are doing, and that coming from why not to use templates, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can get inspired by them. Like for example, these like Pass or Pastor or Quest, like it's copywriting frameworks, right? Those work great into emails. And not having them is possible, but you're just going to waste your time way more, and it's not efficient, right? So it's about a balance. But yeah, it just takes a lot of time. And I think right now with my agency, the big thing that I need to work on is like I'm capped. Like right now, I can take one more client, and that's it. And I need to be able to take more. And that's where hiring is going to be important, systems is going to be important. So I'm getting into that, right? I'm not 10 years into the work. I'm still a big beginner in that.
Yeah, totally. Could you share any like cool success stories of SaaS companies you worked with?
Okay,
Which one?
Yeah, I'll try to give you one. Let me think about it. I'm trying to because there's great success stories and there's cool ones. Right.
Yeah, and cool stories are always better. But I think I saw you tweet about one big one. Is it Instantly?
Yeah.
Is that one of your big clients?
Yeah. So I helped them through the entire process. And the funny thing that people don't understand about how big automations are is that they're still implementing it. Like,
okay.
So all of that, I made all the strategy possible, and they're still putting the emails out because they're still trying to understand where we're going, new features, do we need to move that and that. So it's really cool to see that the process is still going after all that time. And see, for example, that's a success story, but it's not cool, right? I'm trying to think of a cool one. Maybe just continue. I'll keep thinking about it because it's going to take some time.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We can pivot into, so like you're growing on Twitter for sure, right? Like when did you start taking Twitter seriously?
I think around December, like seriously, December, November, around that time. So I didn't grew like super fast, not at all. It was pretty slow compared to a lot of the people that I see. But man, Twitter has been a game changer. Like really from December, like been not the core of the business, but great leads, great people, and I see myself like maybe hiring from there. I heard that people said they had a bad experience with hiring from Twitter, but because there's a lot of beginners, right? So and just going through all of the shitty beginners it takes a lot of time and it's not efficient. But yeah, maybe December, and I don't know about you, but Twitter has been a just game changer. Totally.
No, I mean, for me as well. I mean, I only have like 400 followers, but, this is my 6th episode here. And obviously that's how we met. Every single one of my podcast guests right now has come through Twitter, which is pretty sweet. Any cool stories you have from Twitter, like people that you met? I know you mentioned you talked to the email, it's the cold email wizard, right? Yeah. But like any other like cool stories you met up with anyone or anything like that?
I'm terrible at remembering those stuff, but yeah, there's so much people. Andre, that is partnered with the Cold Email Wizard, that I had a great conversation with his entire team. Oh my God, there's so many people. It's really hard. Those moments are really hard.
No, I know. I got to put you on the spot there.
Pretty funny. So, oh my God, can I really reveal that? Yeah, I'll reveal that. So,
do it.
So
it's an exclusive.
A company that is, I'm not going to say the company, but it's a SaaS business name. No, I was about to say the name. I'm so stupid. But they're owned by French people, which is really cool because it's going to be, if I'm going to work with them, it's going to be maybe in 1 or 2 weeks. I'm setting them up for that. And it's going to be the first company that is all of the founders are French, right? And that's really cool for me because my first language is French, and it's a different dynamic, right? So I can't wait to see that. And the cool story behind that is that one of their biggest competitors, I don't think I want to say his name, but the guy made like maybe like 400 million in ecom, like a big guy in the space. You probably know his name. You probably have an idea, right? This
Okay.
legend in the space. And I had a call with him, and
With the dude that made 400 million?
yeah, the guy on Twitter, right? And
Wow. Okay.
I said like, "Hey man, your threads are great," and I was literally in shock, right? I was watching his videos. I was like following him for a while. Everyone in my network knew him, and just like that, we got on a call, and his SaaS product, it wasn't great. And it was super hard for me to say, like, man, your SaaS product isn't great. I don't think it's the best thing. So I just got off that call. The guy was super cool. And the funny thing is that story nurtured the French guys that I'm talking about because they're direct competitors, right? It was just a call with someone that you've been like watching for so long, just because you give value in the space in a specific way is amazing. And again, because I'm on the spot, I don't know why I don't have the other people, but that's one. So many great people in spaces as well. I've done spaces a while ago when I was more into copywriting and not anything really specific, more sales pages. So many amazing people in this space. It's absolutely crazy. I can't even name one or two. Again, my mind is like shut.
No, I'm the same way. I feel you.
If someone,
I mean, that's
if you're listening right now, just jump on Twitter and make connections. You know it. It's just amazing. And I think my next step, because I'm about to move to Mexico in like 1 month, something like that. I'm waiting for my passport, and I'm out of Canada. That's for sure. And my next step is just meeting these amazing people in real life. That's
So-
gonna be the goal.
why that move? Why are you leaving Canada?
No, I'm moving to Mexico. I'm leaving Canada. Okay, you said leaving Canada. So for multiple reasons. So first, you know that I came from Mexico from my soccer background. So the cool thing, like the quick story, the short story is that my father met his girlfriend in Mexico, right? So he stayed there and pretty much has his base there. He's not in Canada anymore. He's living there. And I have a team, an agency with a bunch of guys. Again, I won't say their name. Maybe I can say their name, yeah. Do you know the Converte team?
The Convert Kit?
Converte? Does it ring a bell?
Potentially. I'd have to.
Great guy,
Yeah.
amazing copywriter with an amazing email marketing agency for coaches and consultant. And young guys again, and they're in Mexico right now, in Tulum. And I never been to Tulum. I did all Mexico, like literally almost all of it, and that's the only part that I didn't visit quite as well, Cancun, Tulum. So I really want to swing by, just go there for a weekend, meet these guys, and swing back, maybe see my dad for a while, and then move again to another country. I just want to travel and still build my agency, travel. So that's going to be my plan for the next few months, at least. Just skip the winter.
No, I totally get that. I used to live in Boston, Massachusetts, and I live in North Carolina now, and it's like, dude, I can't do the snowy winters and the -5. Like, it's brutal. Now it gets down to like 40 here, and that's like cold, which is great. And we got the ocean. Wait, so where are you going in Mexico? Did you say you're going to go live in Tulum, or are you just visiting there?
In my opinion, I'm just gonna swing by, visit, see these guys if they're there. Again, just want to say a quick hello, and otherwise, if I don't, or if for some reason they're not there anymore, because I think they're moving soon, I'm just gonna swing by with my dad that is in Guadalajara, and I don't know if you know the city, but great, amazing cities. I just want to say a quick hello. I'm gonna stay there or stay in a hotel, and then maybe move again. I'm not sure, but I know that we planned on. My father is super cool, man. I just want to say that.
Yeah, sounds like your boy.
Quite like we had so much together. Super cool guy, funny, and he's in business as well. So that's really cool to have like this shared passion that we can talk about, right? And quick again, I'll try to remember my thought. I'll even write it. But one really cool thing, and I really suggest this, if it's with friends, with your dad or whatever, to learn multiple languages, to be able to speak another language in, for example, Mexico. Like when we were
Mhm.
talking like in French, speaking in French in Mexico, man, everything was funnier. We were like more confident. Everything was 10 times better because we can
Mhm.
say stupid shit in the open and talk like truly around other people and have like this secretive communication that other people don't
Mhm.
have and don't know what we're saying. And that's so powerful. And I really, and it seems stupid, really seems stupid, but I
No,
really
it makes
hope
sense.
everybody like tries it or experiments it, and that's why I think learning and knowing a lot of languages is so cool when you can connect with someone in a different country with that language. And what I was saying is that, yeah, I'm going there in Mexico also because we, how do you say that? I mean, yeah, we booked a villa for like
Yep.
3 4 weeks for Christmas and New Year, and we're going
Okay.
there with a bunch of friends with my dad, which is going to be super cool. So that's the big plan why I'm getting there. And from that, I'm gonna get back. Maybe I don't know. I just want to maybe travel in Asia. I still don't know, but I know I really want to move and meet great people like you, man. It's so cool, so cool. Like
Yeah, that
Twitter, I think that's the main part of like being able to connect with like-minded people.
yeah, that's going to be sick. I've heard great things about Tulum. It looks like a really cool place to go. So okay, so you speak English, you speak French, you speak Spanish. Anything else?
No, no. I really want to learn Chinese at some point, but I think that's going
Jeez.
to be complete or Italian as well because I feel like being able to speak French and Spanish, it's like Italian is like right in the middle, right?
Hmm.
So I feel it's going to be an easier one, but definitely learning a language is so much fun. It's really fun.
So give me some advice on that. I would love to learn Spanish. The people that I work with a lot of teams in Mexico, right? So I can't speak Spanish like at all. It definitely sucks sometimes. Like I wish that I could. And I've gotten like the Duolingo. Like I've looked at the things. I think the biggest problem though is that I just haven't committed to like, okay, I'm going to learn this and like that's it. But like any hacks, like how do you learn these languages?
Speak. That I
Okay.
think that's the main one. Like a lot of people are talking about listening and like it's easy. Listening is easy. I think you can. If I speak in Spanish,
Hmm.
you're gonna understand like 60% of what I'm saying, right?
Hmm.
Or maybe not because you don't have like that
I'd probably be like
French
15%, but
that French because French is really an advantage because it's a Latin language, right? So it's
okay.
base, for example, difficile
Hmm.
in Spanish is difícil. It's the same thing. Fácil, fácil. It's the same, right? So a
Yeah.
lot of words are the same, so it's easier that way. But yeah, just speak, and that's as easy as hiring a $4 per hour professor 1 hour a day, literally,
Hmm.
and speaking. So she asks you a question, you answer. And it's really frustrating at the beginning because your tongue just doesn't want to answer, man. It's like you can't. And I remember I was one time I did like 2 hours at the beginning, Spanish
Hmm.
class, and my jaw was like burning. It was like hard. I was like, what the fuck is happening? Because your tongue and your way of moving your mouth isn't like used to sit in that position for so
Hmm.
long. And so I would say just speak, like um, speak and write. So for example, what I did, the way I learned, maybe there's a better way, but it's like covering the basics. So the grammar, the verbs, so the future tense, present tense, past tense, writing those
Hmm.
like literally every day you take 5 10 minutes writing them and
Hmm.
understanding how, for example, once again in French, the vocabulary and the way of saying things is pretty similar, but understanding how letter works and just speaking. So what we were doing with my professor was like, oh, we're doing like 2 or 3 exercises and writing my verbs. That takes like
Hmm.
5 10 minutes. And then we just talk about life. Literally, we try to talk. Of course, at the beginning, it's like, I don't understand, so we're stuck. But the more and
Hmm.
more we're doing it, I feel like 2 weeks, literally 1 hour a day, I'm talking about how my day was going. And every time I'm
Hmm.
missing a word, or I'm not saying something correctly. She corrects me, I know it.
Mm-hmm.
That's simple. And you just go like trial and error until you cover a bit more base, until you're able to talk for 3 hours. And we have an amazing conversation with my professor, and she's still one of my best friends at this day, because we talked so much, because I was forced to talk with her like 1 hour a day. It's like 30 hours per month. I'm not even talking to some of my friends that much, right?
Yeah.
Of course, you're gonna have a great time with your professor. And I think the hardest part, and that's what you said, like committing, and then staying for like the first month of like.
Mm-hmm.
Month of pain of like, man, my jaw hurts, my mind is like, fuck, I can't think, right? And from there, you're having so much fun. So I really, if you're thinking about it, really commit to it, because again, it's like, it's a skill for life. You connect with people, you make people smile, because when you're for example, I remember I made a tweet about that, like we wanted to go to a festival with my little brother, and I wanted to show him a bit of the like business mindset, a bit of the business thing that I love. And so instead of like $700 to go to that big festival that had like Drake and Dua Lipa and all these people, I was like, let's become employees for one day. Let's like just chime into employees. Let's sell ice cream for like 4 or 5 hours, and then we get tickets for free and we make money. So that's what we did.
Yeah.
And by selling ice cream, there was a lot of Latinos people, like from Mexico and Spain, and just like talking with them in Spanish and saying like, yeah, which flavor you want, like you have a great hat, whatever, made them like smile so much, and everybody was so happy, like so much fun. And just from that connection, that like, oh, this guy is super white and he speaks it right, and you have a connection right there, and you talk for like 15 minutes. So I think it's like one of these little things that can like boost your week, your days, just by connecting with people on another level.
Yeah, totally. So, well, I think I'm going to do this. Do you think like the best route is to just hire like a coach? Because then you're basically accountable at that point, right?
Yeah,
like a coach, a teacher, whatever you want to call it.
Calendar that is dedicated to Spanish, and you don't have any other ways, because you don't want to waste that person's time, right? And you're committed to it by doing that. And I think that's the best way. Otherwise, like I know there's a lot, and I think it's a good way, but like for example, watching series like in Spanish, for example, Casa de Papel, right? It's like, I'm gonna see it, but the problem is that like if you're either enjoying the series or you're learning Spanish, you can't do both. And people that says you're doing both, it's that you're on another level, like you're already good in Spanish. But if you really want to learn Spanish and have a good time, you won't, right? Because you need to press pause and say like, what was that word? Write it. Put it in your verbs. Say it 4 times. Let's break. Oh, pause. It's like you won't see, right? It's good if you want to do that this way, but I would say just speak. Because speaking is the hardest part. It's just speaking over and over and over, and listening. You're gonna get used to it by speaking. So it's just about speaking. It's a bit like how can I say that? Like everything is a comparison. For example, business. Like people saying like, I'm gonna get this trick. I'm gonna try to do this little, and you're like, no, man, just send 100 more DMs.
Yeah,
that's it. There's no like secret thing. It's just like do the thing that works more. That's it.
I mean, that's actually like a great comparison, right? It's like, oh, how do you become better at business? Like, oh, you read all these books, you listen to these podcasts. It's like, no, you just have to like make calls and like do shit, right? Like that's the actual way. Like you can't just listen to Spanish. You actually got to like speak it.
Actually, is great. I just think it's like a little tool, right? It's like, for example, if you're doing your hour of Spanish and you want to keep it fresh in your mind afterwards, like you wait 1 hour and then you do a 15 minutes of Duolingo. That's amazing. That's great. Because it keeps it in your mind. It keeps it fresh. For example, if you're going to see that in the beginning, and that's why I think 1 hour per day is good. Because if you wait 2 days and you get back on it, you literally have to take 30 minutes to get back into it. So before the call or in the middle of your day, doing it and just thinking about Spanish is good, right? Just to be fresh. And other benefit of speaking Spanish is that at some point, at least, for example, right now, it's not at all what's happening to me because I'm speaking with people only in English or French. But when I was in Mexico and for example, I was living in a family that only spoke Spanish. The cool thing is that you start walking the street and you think in Spanish. In your head, you think and you it's like you imagine scenarios in Spanish, and that feeling is amazing. Like, you ask yourself a question, where is that? Like, where is the hospital? You say it in Spanish, and that's such a great feeling. So I think the process, like everything is hard, but at the end, like, it's hard, but it's fun. Everything that is hard is fun.
Yeah, totally. That's something interesting you just mentioned, though, because I have a friend here in my neighborhood that English is his second language, right? He's from Mexico, and I always pick his brain about, like, learning Spanish and whatnot. And he said the way that he knew that he, like, fully learned English is when he was having, like, dreams and thoughts in English, right? And it's the same way, like, if you go to Spanish, right? Like, if you start thinking in Spanish. And as well, when I speak to, teammates at my job that are in Mexico, some of them you can tell that they're thinking in Spanish and then they're trying to translate after. But some of them can think in English. Yeah. Yep. That's
where it's like it's a bit mushy, the language. But at least you. That's why I said, like, my brain was burning because every one of my sentences was like destroyed, and I needed to think in a different way, right, to say my sentence. And I think it's a great way to think about it. Like, when you have thoughts, you learn the language.
Yeah, that's something I've just never thought about because I'm a simpleton and I only know English, unfortunately. But it's a great journey. Really cool. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. I need to just hire a coach or a teacher and just get that on my calendar every week.
It's like it's literally nothing. It's like $200 per month or something. It's nothing.
It's worth it. It's worth it, is what you're saying. One thing before we get into the business idea. So we talked about Twitter a little bit, and obviously you're growing there. I think that you're probably going to hit 10K, let's say, in the next 6 months. Like, that's probably pretty realistic, right? What would you say? And I think a lot of people out there want to say there's like a growth hack, or like, oh, you just need to do this, or you go on Tweet Hunter and you copy what's already working and whatnot. But I think it's also started filling Twitter with all of this, like, people giving advice that, like, shouldn't be giving advice, right? Or like, And
that's my end. I know maybe my opinion is going to change, but I think the point of Twitter is not growing. It has nothing to do with that. And again, it's cheesy advice, but it's all about connection and actual value. Like, I have, like, literally, on top of my mind, 3 friends, right, that we started at the same time, that now has one 30K followers, one 40K followers, one 80K followers, and all of them, like, made almost $0. In my opinion, it's the connection and the amount of dollars that comes in. That's the other, like, fluffy fluff doesn't matter to me, right? And that's crazy. The guy at 80K, like, made like 20x less than me than I did from Twitter. It's like, why? Because empty value and no specificity is like goes nowhere, right? So I think the moment you understand that you're trying to, like, reach 1%, like on my thread, if I reach 2,000 people and one guy is like, that's for me, I want to, like, that problem solved, I did my job, like, right? I just need that one person to pay me 10K and boom, right?
Just 10K.
Right? Oh my god, I need 30K followers to make like 2K online is dumb. It's really crazy, right? So in my opinion, it's way more about giving value, consistent value, being a big fish in a small pond, right? So, like, for example, my niche is so freaking precise. B2B SaaS email automation. Isn't that like crazy niche? So of course not a lot of people are going to connect with that, and that's okay, right? So I would say just connect with people, make great friends, and share good value. honestly, it's always about that. But yeah,
Awesome.
I see it at least now.
Yeah, no, I think that's spot on, right? Like, just because you have like a ton of followers, and some people you see like with a ton of followers don't get a lot of engagement either, just because they're tweeting shit all day. Just like, oh, like there's some people I see that it's like, oh, I can tell you went on Tweet Hunter and like copied a tweet and just like posted it. Like, there's so much of that out there, but
it makes the timeline like actually trash, and I really need to clean, like mute people, block people, make sure I literally unfollow them like consistently to make sure that I don't, if I go on Twitter, at least I'm consuming something good, or that is gonna make me think about like my business in a great way and not just shit, right?
Yeah. Like there's 1,000 Google Chrome apps out there, right? Like, here's 10 that you need to know about. Those are always funny.
Example. It's like you're providing value, but who is going to hire you from that thread, or who is going to actually care about you as a person from that thread? Nobody, never, right? And that's sad, right? I have a thing in mind, but I'll write it. If you have another question, just shoot. Otherwise, I'll...
Yeah, well, so I want to get into the last part. So I write a weekly newsletter called 3 Ideas on Sunday. Basically, I bring a new business idea every single week. And with that business idea, I like to say, like, this is how I would go about building it. This is how I'd go about getting my first customers. And, like, this is how I would scale it. And this is what I think you could actually, like, build it to. So I want to ask you, what's like a business idea that you think would be really cool to start? Maybe you'll never start it, or maybe you will in the future, but you think that like someone could start and actually, get going and have some legs on it.
I don't find like a super creative idea. I didn't think about that a lot. But one that I would want to start at least, I really like the idea of, that's too close to my niche, but something with TikTok, like literally bumping TikTok with a product that is actually useful and like just growing the shit out of it, right? That I really think is like attractive to me. The shiny object syndrome. I know I need to stay in my lane, but if someone has no lane or is trying to get into things, like getting a product that is actually helpful, like personal growth oriented, or something that business owners really love, right? Like you and me are gonna both see like, oh my god, that's a cool product for business owners. Again, I don't have a specific product, my bad, but and grow the shit out of it on TikTok and post like super cool videos about it. I feel like it could be like around the product, meeting other entrepreneurs and talking about it, building great products with it, like projects with it. But something relating TikTok, and I don't know why. I just feel like the idea of filming, editing, and creating something super creative around that using video is really attractive.
Yeah. Let's put a little more like specifics on it.
Yeah.
So like maybe even would this be like a physical product, or you think you could do this with like a software product?
At the beginning, I was like, a SaaS product, like pushing it and making videos about it is like super sick, right? I don't see a lot of, and I'm still trying to find a partner that is doing TikTok organic for SaaS businesses. So if you're watching, but if you want, like, say, like refer from my clients to that person, because I think it's sick, it's super cool. But yeah, imagine, and I see, for example, about Copy.ai.
Yeah.
I don't like personally the product, but it's a product, a SaaS product, and they are killing it with TikTok. Like they're using a lot of influencers, and influencers are making videos about it, and they grew like crazy with TikTok because they use the other people network. But if we're thinking about one product, I think, at least for the moment, a thing that is safer is a physical product. We need to think about, if we have like 10 seconds to think about one.
Yeah, but I mean, like, yeah, that's like saying like, well, here's a product and it would definitely sell. Like nobody knows, right? Like I've watched enough. Like
it's more about like anything, like seeing a problem, understanding a specific market, and selling it in a specific angle. right?
Mm-hmm.
Another that I saw on TikTok was that I really liked, that I studied was the squash. Is that the name? The squash, the soap? Squash.
Sasquatch soap or something like that. Yeah.
They had like such a unique angle. It's like it's soap, but it's like for man, for like big man. It's like you want to be a real man with that, and they used a mascot, and like such a specific and cool angle. That's the type of creative that I would like love to build. Oh, a cool idea. Okay, I hate cigarettes. Okay, I hate them. Okay, but either something around cigars or cigarettes. Again, it would be like, imagine like the cool kid. Okay, the guy that we aren't. Okay, like in college, let's say like 20, 22 years old, sick style, amazing mindset. Like maybe it's a cigarette, but you film this guy in specific scenarios, or a team of guys smoking that specific cigar, and they have projects around that, and you just film the projects, how it's working, and just them smoking the cigars, and they're like the face of the brand, and putting that on TikTok. I feel that's so cool, and I would buy into that. Literally, I would buy into that. I had like the idea in mind. I'm like, man, I would smoke their cigars, right? Like the idea and the style behind it is so cool, right? A bit like Marlboro.
The only thing with
back in the days, like cigarettes as something super cool, then you can do the same with cigars for like young guys, like younger entrepreneur guys, right? So it's like young guys, entrepreneurs that want to be successful, smoke these cigars, like super specific. And I remember Marlboro did the same with like cigarettes is like, it's disgusting. Like the smell is horrible, everything is horrible about it. But they made doctors say that it's good for their health. They made girls think that it's cool, right? Like, they thought they were cool sitting on the bench with their cigarette when it's not. But the marketing was super strong, so they sold like crazy. Something similar with entrepreneur and cigars.
Yeah, I would say the only thing that I would see is like a red flag there is that you might have trouble advertising, right? I don't think you can actually advertise like tobacco products on TikTok and Facebook organic platforms, right?
Just organic.
Yeah, you could maybe do it organic. One thing that I was going to say that I think would work actually really well, to go off your original idea, a little spin though, like if someone just opened up a TikTok account, let's call it, SaaS Reviews or something, SaaS Reviews IO, and they just started organically reviewing SaaS businesses, right? Like little SaaS tools. Maybe they even like niche it down into like indie hacker tools. They just start like trying out all these tools, and they make like 30-second, like catchy, like fast break videos on these SaaS companies, right? And obviously at first they're not going to get paid, but as they get views and whatnot, right? Like I'm sure as a SaaS company,
and just like brand deals, I think it's a great idea. And it's in a way, it's a bit like AppSumo in a way, because you're like pushing products and giving your advice. I think it would be super cool. And I know some videos on TikTok are doing great of like the best, for example, like Copy.ai, like from creating like, the best tool to not like to get infinite ideas, right? And like they just make a catchy video, and I think it would work great, honestly. And you just need to understand SaaS and understand like how sales work. Otherwise, I think you wouldn't give enough value in a sense. But yeah, I think it's a super cool idea.
Yeah, because there's TikTok accounts out there that are like 1 million plus followers, and all they started out just ordering cool products on Amazon, right? And then they made a cool TikTok on it, and they started getting a ton of attention. They grow their entire following, and then obviously companies start sending them stuff, and then companies start paying them to make those videos. I think the same thing would happen with SaaS, right? Like if you had 100, 200K followers just like putting up like videos of you using a SaaS and reviewing it in like 30 seconds, I think 100% these SaaS companies would say, hey, here's like $2,500 to make a 30-second video on this SaaS. Like, I think someone could grow that with $0 and, probably a couple hours of work.
100%. You just need
every day.
Good analytics and basic filming. I love the idea, honestly.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, sweet. I really appreciate you jumping on here, man. How old are you by chance?
I just turned 18, like 3.
Jeez, dude. Jeez, dude, you're killing it for 18. Like, good stuff. Like, I'm excited to see you in the next like 5 years. Like, I think you're gonna blow up with your business, and maybe it won't even be this business. Maybe it'll be the next business that really takes off, man. But yeah, thanks so much for joining me. Anything you want to leave it off? Anything you want to plug here?
Check out my Twitter. Just connect with me on there. And I recently started doing like being consistent, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, with one video a day. Really, again, TikTok. I'm really trying to get into that space. Of course, that TikTok video is on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, and the best on Twitter. Yeah, check out my Twitter and type my name in TikTok or YouTube. You're gonna see my short videos, and I would love feedback on them. I hired an editor recently, and yeah, I'm just trying to make the videos really good and being consistent with one a day. So check me out on there.
Sweet. Follow this guy. It is the QC Ghost on Twitter, right? Perfect. Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much.
My pleasure. It was good.